Imagine a world where there could be a device that you can hold in the palm of your hand, which can communicate with 3 billion people instantaneously, which has access to all the world's knowledge. That's not science fiction, and the idea that that isn't going to transform media, I think would be strange.
This digital revolution has caused an extraordinary change. I don't think anyone would want to go back to the old media structure where access to communications and distribution was as managed as it was back then.
I love print, but print is not our future. This transition period, which is going to last at least 5 to 10 years, is going to be extremely difficult.
Not just continual acceleration, but actually a step change. I don't know what that is. If I did know what that is, I'd be doing that, not this.
The next couple of years, what we're going to see is a refocusing on mobile. I think that most media companies are going to have to become mobile media companies if they want to really survive.
First of all, most people began in the news business thinking of the digital revolution as the enemy. I've come to think of it as a friend.
I looked at other industries of other times. I looked at how the railway revolution happened, the printing revolution. And you see a pattern that the disruption typically does not come from within the old rulers of that industry, but disruption comes from the outside.
We're seeing the aggregation of tremendous new technological capabilities, and we've only just begun to explore how they can be used to create good journalism.
Well, what I learned that despite 50 years in the business, I'm running a huge startup company. That's what it feels like.
Everybody in mainstream media is doing digital afterwards.
A lot of people discover their news through their friends, through their family, and journalists on Facebook.
3 years ago, we weren't talking about social as a huge component of the information ecosystem. What does that tell us? 3 years from now, we're going to be talking about something very different again.
Journalists are not the only ones in this situation. Every single industry, I cannot think of a single industry that's not being forced to reorganize, to rethink what they're doing. What differentiates the media is that we have a lot of public airtime to commiserate and to say, oh, look how hard we are being hit by this net thing. No, we're not hit any harder than a local baker.
The newspaper of today and the newspaper of 100 years ago is largely the same, with maybe the exception of color printing.
One of the more recent issues has been the adapting to the tablets, the iPad, and this whole generation. The reader is prepared to pay for it on the devices, on the iPad and similar devices.
I think the race for online media shouldn't be to be the biggest. The race should be to be, on the journalistic side, to be the most influential, and on the business side, to be the most profitable.
I don't believe that paywalls are not an effective part of this. I think they can be.
Paywalls will only work for very few select newspapers in the world.
The model I use for sports might be very different from the model I use for financial information, which may be very different from the model I use for political information.
I do believe that paywalls fight the future.
My own sense is that the media landscape we'll see will be a richer one, but also a more chaotic one.
I don't think that the traditional media companies are going to go away, but I think you're going to see more new media companies come of influence.
Print operators should be very careful not to say the game is over, let's all go digital.
For the first year ever, we saw the Huffington Post win a Pulitzer Prize, right? The Huffington Post didn't exist, launched in 2005, 2004.
A certain percentage of the audience will still want to receive newspapers as they're presently constructed.
Digital, one way or another, over time will replace print.
You're going to see a successful, very successful news company that only lives on mobile.
I do believe that the future of journalism will be better than its past if it's not already there.